Okay. King of the Table 14 just got done a couple days ago. I have a bit of a drive that I'm making here today, so I'm just gonna do my little video about my thoughts on the event. Number one, very successful event. Out of everything that they did, number one, I think, was the fact that there were no technical difficulties. No audio cuts, no camera cuts. Like, there were a couple of issues that occurred as far as injuries. Wow, were there a lot of injuries. And just reffing overall, which I'll talk about a little bit. Maybe I'll make a separate video for these different things, but they are topics and issues that need to be addressed. But as far as the overall event goes, it was really good. Really solid event. I guess I would say the highlight match of the event was definitely Michael and Vitaly. It was a very, very good match. Very close, very interesting. A lot of different stuff to unpack. And I will probably do what I have been doing with the past few events. And once the replay becomes available, I'll be able to rewatch the whole event start to finish. I didn't do that for East versus West 17, though, because, I mean, there weren't too many really, really interesting matches at 17. Number one was Matt versus Keter Gelly. But I'm going to go through each of the matches, give my, just unpack each one of them, give my opinion on how everything went. So the first match was actually one of my favorites. Georgi Taltiev versus Zorab Tabaridze. Taltiev won, I believe, 3-0. He did a great job. First injury of the event. And, of course, as I said before, there were a lot of injuries. He got injured. It was the same thing, I think, as what happened during his match with Irakli. But with Irakli, he was pulling defensive. And when you are pulling defensive with an injury, you are in big trouble. Because that injury is always going to become worse. You're going to be putting yourself in a position where you're going to just keep making it more and more painful, taking on more and more damage. But this time he was going offensive, and I think what he was able to do was he was able to cup his wrist in a way that it was wedged and it could sit, and he wasn't just full on, like, forcing the cup. I think he just kind of wedged his hand into a cupped position and just held that together with all the little tendons and muscles just to try to keep himself in the match, and it really paid off. I mean, Zorab got the stop every time, but Taltiev was just able to wiggle his way through and top rolled right over Zorab. Taltiev has been getting better, and I think it is nice that he will try to take on some more advanced opponents in the 105. As far as his call-out, each athlete has their own unique call-outs that they want to make, and I'm all here for it. Whatever you want to say, like, I want this person for my next match, like, it's your right to call out whoever you want. Within realistic standards, like, that's fair. Taltiev called out Devin Larratt. I'll just cut to the chase. No, you're not getting Devin Larratt. I'll just cut to the chase right there. You are not getting Devin Larratt. Know why? Because you are probably ranked as far down as, like, 15th in the 105 kilo category. Who do you at 15th get to say, hey, I want Devin to come out of the super heavyweights, cut down just to face me, a guy who he barely knows about, because I think our styles would match up uniquely. No. If Matt Mask, who has been on a crazy winning streak, who has been deserving of his match with Devin Larratt for the past 3 or 4 months, you are not just going to call out Devin and get that match. That is not happening. That is unrealistic and stupid. I would like to see Taltiev face someone in the top 10, but not that high up. An interesting match, Keter Gelion-Gurbaev, right there. That would be an interesting match. I mean, Keter Geli's used to dealing with top rollers. Taltiev is a unique top roller with good capability. I feel like that would be a good match. But overall, this was a great opening to the event. Taltiev and Zurab, amazing match. Next match was pretty interesting. I got this one wrong. And overall, my predictions didn't hold up as well as I had hoped. But I still got, I think, I calculated it at 58% accuracy. So I got just barely over half. So I did okay. I predicted okay. I predicted the Taltiev match correctly. This match I didn't predict correctly. I had Lachlan Adair beating Petro Maharet, and Petro ran through Lachlan. Lachlan made it very difficult for Petro to get his hand containment that he goes for every time with that supinated side pressure. Lachlan top rolled, hooked, pressed. He went everywhere. And in every route he got shut down. He was able to get some sticky points on the open arm top roll when he allowed his bicep to be opened and really tried to force it to the other side. There was no give in the arm of Petro, but Lachlan fought hard, but Petro did really, really well. Another 105 match, which is crazy, because there are a lot of 105 matches. I don't remember the unique order of the event. I just kind of remember the order of the card itself. So I'm just going to go through it that way. For me, the next match was Matt Mask and Nugo Chikadze. I know that match came later than the Lachlan versus Petro match, but I'm just going to go based off of how I remember the card was staged, rather than how the order of the event actually went. And this was an upset for me and a lot of people, a big upset. I thought Matt was in too good of shape to lose to someone like Nugo. Nugo caused a lot of problems for him. There were a lot of different variables that came into play that gave Nugo the advantage during that match. Number one, Matt severely underestimated him. He thought he was just a strong, tight hook puller. He has a crazy amount of power. Blew through Matt's hand. Matt also underestimated how difficult it would be to set up with Nugo. How far down Nugo is. Matt has to bring his hand down a lot more. And he said, I don't know if he was saying that Nugo was compromising his height or if it was the refs when they were setting them up. I think he meant that it was the refs, which I understand, because when the refs are trying to get that match going, and it's such a unique match where you have a 6'6" guy versus I don't even know what Nugo is. Is he 5'8", 5'9", something like that? A significantly shorter guy. You have to do your best to make that match work, but there's no correct way to set it up. They are so unique in their forms, not even their styles, but it is just the height and everything. So Matt said his height kept getting pulled down. He didn't get the points that he wanted to get where he could start the match correctly. Makes sense. So overall, I think Nugo won 3-1. Matt got a point off of fouls because Nugo was both going early, and I don't know if his elbow came off the pad, but something else was going on that the call was made. So unfortunately Matt lost, but I mean, this shows us Nugo Chikadze is an amazing puller with a lot of unique potential, and we got to start putting him higher up. I think Nugo might be one of those guys who's top 5 in the 105 kilo category. Like, he's really up there. Really up there. Next match that I remember, this one was a very important match. And the way it worked was very vital for us to know. We learned a lot. Jocelyn Brisson versus Igle Vatkute. We needed to see this match. The thing about Sarah is she is a really good puller, right? She's a really good puller. I'm sorry, I'm watching somebody do some stupid crap on the road that they shouldn't be doing. Okay. Anyway, Sarah is one of those girls in arm wrestling where she is incredibly strong and incredibly accomplished. But her fame and popularity does not come from the fact that she is accomplished. It is that paired equally with her personality and her promotions. Like, she is like the face of women's arm wrestling. Like, she is a very influential figure, but not so much as like she is the greatest of all time, the best of the best. Like, she's just a really good female arm wrestler and very promotable. She's a big name in the sport. Igle Vatkute, not so much in that realm. All of her popularity springs from the fact that she is one of the best pullers of all time for women. She is so strong, so talented. We needed to see this match. Jocelyn got run over. Igle destroyed her. And we needed to see this match occur. I was thinking it would be closer because Jocelyn showed a lot of promise, but then I found out she is on her 11th month of arm wrestling training and specifics. You are facing, I think Igle is the number 3 best overall women's arm wrestler in the world, and you're not even a year into your arm wrestling career. Like, Jocelyn is a baby in the sport right now. She's really strong and shows a lot of talent and a lot of promise. But shooting for the top that early, she got knocked down big time. Talking about how Igle was loading into her hand. Like, the thing with loading is the refs are not going to stop the match because your opponent is loading up pressure into your hand. If your opponent is loading up pressure into your hand, let it loose. Show the refs, hey, look how much force she's putting into my hand. Can you stop that so that we can set up more evenly? But instead, I think what Jocelyn did in the setup was she put equal force into Igle's hand to counteract her loading. Don't do that, because then if you're going to talk about how she's loading and you want her to stop loading, the match will continue because you are making it so that, yeah, she's loading into your hand, but there's no advantage. There's no position gain. There's no early start. You're still in center in a fair and even position, so there's nothing wrong. The refs can't do anything about that. So if someone's loading into your hand, let it go so that the refs have to stop the loading. That is about the best option you can have. So, yeah, she just got run over. Jocelyn did. Igle is still super strong. Next match would be Georgi Svetkov and David Dadikian very unfortunate. Georgie was the second injury of the event, and it was the first and only major injury. I think he tore his bicep. He said on the very first round, and Daddy Can said it too, but what Georgie said was he was going on the defense and something popped and his arm went limp. So that means something gave out, something ripped, something tore, something got injured big time. And what Daddy Can said was, yes, I could see Daddy Can was hyped up, so he didn't realize what had happened. He pinned Georgie, so he was just celebrating and stuff. But what he said afterward was, yeah, I was going for the pin, cutting in, and 1 second Georgie's arm was intact and pulling back. The next moment it was on the pad and there was no resistance. So he knew immediately, yeah, something's wrong. So hopefully Georgie gets better. Unfortunate circumstances, but fortunate that this was not his right arm. This was a left-handed match, and Georgie's left arm is not a very predominant arm. His right is the one that really matters and counts. His left arm, he was just looking to make his stance with it. Next match, I predicted this one completely wrong. Georgie versus Kamil. I thought Georgie Zoranov would be able to find his way around the press, but I think what Kamil has done finally, I've been waiting for him to do that. I think Kamil is finally learning enough to start closing up the gaps in his technique. If you go back and watch any of Kamil's matches, you will see each and every one of his opponents, Corey West, Tobias Sperong, Ivan Matyushenko, Artem Morozov, everyone finds that one little hole in his technique, and he has had yet to close it up and really bring his press all together. I think today, or during the event, we saw his press really come together, which I'm super happy about. It really looked strong. Next match, was it Paul Lin? Yeah, I think it was. Paul Lin versus David Smushia. Super happy for Paul. Paul won this one pretty dominantly, more dominantly than their last match. This is where the reffing came into play. Because here's the thing. When you compare the main event with Michael Todd and Vitaly Laletin to this match with Paul Lin and David Smushia, it pisses me off, the reffing. Because here you have Michael's hand, and it's just barely dipping below the pad, not even really that close. It is just right there. And they immediately stop it, and without hesitation, they call it a pin, and they don't review it. But then you have Paul Lin supinating into David Smushia and holding him on the pad for 4 straight seconds while he's shouting, "It's a pin, it's a pin, call it, that's a pin." And finally they come in and call it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was a pin." He held it for 4 seconds. Call the match. But when Michael Todd's pinky comes within a millimeter of the pad, no hesitation, that's a pin. I agree what Devin and Jody said when they made their King of the Table reviews afterward, their little video. I agree with what they said. If it was a pin for Todd, call it a pin. But be consistent. When you make Paul Lin hold that pin for 4 seconds, but you don't even hesitate to call Michael when he's within a millimeter of the pad, that is incorrect. That is irresponsible as a ref. Make your calls consistent. Make them consistent. That's all we ask. Be consistent. My thing with how they act with Michael Todd is they are way too ready to call pins and fouls. Like, they are, for all the other matches, they're just looking for, okay, are their elbows on and is their hand touching the pad? That's all they're looking for. With Michael, it's, it's humerus. His humerus has declined. Foul. Just, they are so ready to call out Michael for unfair positions, even when they aren't there. You know how many calls they had to revise during his match? Two, where they just called fouls, and Michael was like, there was no foul, let's review it, and they immediately went like, no, our mistake, there was no foul. Now let's restart the round again, so now both of you guys know what each other's gonna do, and you're both getting tired. That first round lasted longer than the entire rest of the match, because they can't call fouls or pins correctly with Michael Todd. They do this with Devin as well, because they know Devin's gonna fight them back, and he's gonna fight for position in the setup, and he's gonna be doing all his little stuff. So anytime he acts even remotely out of order, they immediately warn him and immediately foul him. That is stupid. Be non-partial. Only call things that are there. Don't be so ready to call fouls and pins that you just imagine them and then call them, and then you can say, it's fine. If there was nothing there, we'll catch it in the review. No. Make the call when it actually happens. Anyway, great match with Paul Lin and David Samushia. Another great match, Ivan Matyashenko versus Sergey Kalinichenko. I thought Ivan was gonna destroy Kalina, but Kalina showed up very, very strong. Ivan said this was one of the toughest matches for him, just because it was so close. They were so even. But at the end of the day, Ivan, I think, just had a little bit more experience at that top level, and that's what allowed him to pull through. Next match, Artur Makarov versus Daniel Prokopchuk. My most anticipated match on the card, because I could not predict this one. But as the match got closer and closer to happening, I kept on thinking, I think Makarov is just going to be too strong, too tight. I'm going to give it to Artur Makarov. And that is what happened. Makarov won. It was a close match. Prokopchuk handled it the exact way he needed to. Again, a bunch of calls where they're saying like, oh, no. There was nothing that happened. There was no pin. Review it. It was Prokopchuk. Like, dude, relax. I get it. You want to make sure everything's okay, but there were so many review calls where they're just like, no, that didn't happen. Review it again. Like, we need to have some standards to how many times athletes are able to call for a review of the call. We have to have those standards. We need those standards. Overall, though, great match. Artur Makarov really showed that he he stepped up and was a level above Prokopchuk. Really showed that he deserves his title right now. We'll see who he has next, and we'll see who Prokopchuk has next. Maybe Prokopchuk's going to go up against Mindigas again. Who knows? I think they're just going to keep circulating those athletes that are really, really close to one another. An upsetting match, Gennady Krikvinya versus Ibrahim Sagov. Sagov won dominantly, and that's fine, but this was the third injury of the event. Some people didn't know this. Gennady did get injured. It wasn't like a major injury, like, oh, he tore his bicep completely again. Like, no, he got a twinge. It hurt. It didn't allow him to set his position and get that tight angle advantage that he usually gets. So Ibrahim, being the level he was in, just ran through him. The next thing is, some people were saying what they wanted the next match to be, and I completely disagree. I don't know who said it, but someone said, oh yeah, maybe now Ibrahim's gonna face Reno again. No. They just had that match. You're telling me you want Ibrahim to fight Reno, in his next match fight Gennady, and then immediately fight Reno again? No. No. That is not okay. That is way too close to one another. It's just like Irakli and Todd. If you didn't know, Irakli wants an immediate rematch with Michael Todd because he showed Engen there were a bunch of fouls that Todd Hutchings had that were not called, a bunch of elbow fouls. So he said, I want a rematch when he's done with Rustam. No, because that match just happened. Your match with Todd Hutchings, Irakli, just happened. Give it a while. Give it a while. And then we can try it again. But to say, here's 2 missed calls that should have been fouls, meaning his 4-2 victory was unfair, and I should get this rematch as soon as he becomes available. No, that is unfair. I want to see the next match with Ibrahim be against Ivan Matyashenko, because Ivan had previously said, I want to fight the winner of Ibrahim versus Gennady. They've not fought each other, Ibrahim and Matyashenko. They're 1 position away from each other on the rankings. That would be a great stylistic matchup. Let's do it. I think 100% that is going to be the next match for both of these guys. And then we have another unfortunate match with another unfortunate injury. Well, here's the thing also. Todd Hutchings versus Rustam Babayev. Todd was looking great, better than he's ever been against Rustam, which was incredible. And we all love to see it. People need to figure out what round they were on, okay? Here's the thing. The announcers couldn't follow the match. For me, my internet hiccuped in the middle of the confusion. So I was even more confused, but I still understood what was going on. People were going, is it 1-1? Is it 2-0? Is it 2-1? What's the call? And it was Todd was on this side of the table and lost, then got to this side of the table and lost, and now they're back on the side that they started. That means 2 rounds have passed, and Todd is 2 down. Simple. Simple to understand. So the confusion was mainly just through the demand of, we need to know where they're at. Like, use your brain for a second. They're on round 3, and Rustam is 2 up. But then all of a sudden, in the middle of the confusion, Hristo puts his arms up in an X, and Rustam comes over and shakes the hand of Todd Hutchings with a smile on his face, and he's holding his shoulder. Like, I was just thinking, you have got to be kidding me. There were 12 matches on the card. 4 of them had injuries, meaning a third of the matches on the card ended up with injuries. 2 of them ended up ending early, conceded matches with injuries. 2 of them were finished matches with injuries. That is insane. Because I have barely seen any other injuries occur during an East versus West event. Like, there are a couple throughout all of East versus West in King of the Table history. The only that come to mind are Dadikyan's injuries, which he's had multiple, Taltiev at East versus West 15, and Devin Larratt at King of the Table. The other injuries, there are so few of them, yet there are now 4 in one King of the Table event. That's insane. Unfortunate, but I think they might go again. Todd looked stronger this time, so I would have given it to Todd, and Todd won technically. And then the main event match, Michael Todd versus Vitaly Laletin. Disappointed for Michael Todd, because that was the second big moment where, like, hey, this is your chance, your opportunity to fight Levon, and he gave it his all. It was a very special day for him, being Mother's Day, and I also believe his mother's birthday, and his mother passed away last year. So very unfortunate for Michael Todd. Very unfortunate. Prayers to his family. Very difficult to handle. But what I think is Michael was satisfied in knowing that he should be satisfied in knowing that his goal would be to face Levon if he was ready. I think Michael thinks this way, and I completely would agree with him. Michael doesn't want to face Levon just to face Levon. He wants to face Levon when he knows he will have an opportunity to win. And during this event, Vitaly won 3-0. There were some questionable calls, some really questionable calls. That being said, it's okay. It's okay. I understand, and Vitaly won completely fair. It's amazing how much people respect Michael Todd and then show up to the event and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to beat Michael. I mean, I'm going to beat this guy. And they pull him and they realize this guy has so much heart. He puts everything into these matches. He is so ambitious and strong. Really incredible match. I mean, Vitaly showed so much respect in the middle of the rounds in his broken English, because he doesn't speak English, just, good match, Michael, good match. Like they were all very respectful of one another. Once again, Todd, pretty disappointed that he lost, very disappointed, but it was an incredible match, and we know that wherever Michael Todd goes, it's going to be good for him. I mean, it was a great main event match. Didn't end in injury like the rest of the matches on the card did, but ended up being a very, very good match. Very happy for them. That is, I guess I'll end it right there. Overall, amazing event. I actually, kind of an announcement, I plan to go to the next event in Chicago. I'm near the area. It would be about a 5-hour drive for me, which would be awesome. Awesome. Because I've been for so long waiting to be able to get in to one of these events, and they just haven't come up in the correct areas. They haven't gone the correct way, so I've just been waiting for the opportune time to try to get in and see one of these events live. But so far it just hasn't been meant to be. I think this one I definitely could. I'm going to be waiting to see when the tickets and stuff will post. I might just drive down and catch the event in Chicago. Engen says it is going to be the best event, not even in the history of the events they've held in North America, but in the history of the sport. So that means better than East versus West 15, 14, 16, better than any East versus West or King of the Table. And when he said that East versus West 16 was going to be the best event ever, it was. So I think I'm just going to have to believe him. And I think that this will be a really cool one to catch. So I'm very excited. Hermes is looking strong. Levon is looking less strong. Sorry, I'm on a dirty, bumpy road. Levon is looking less strong. Hermes is looking really good. So I think this will be a very close match, which is so difficult to say on behalf of it being a Levon match. very interested. Devin Larratt going against Alex Krdecha. Thea Rysak's going to be there. Jerry Cataract going up against Artem Morozov. Like, these are all crazy, crazy matches. Michael Todd's going to have an event there, I think. He's going to have a match. He said so himself, that they've been talking to him about it. In his post-match interview, he hinted at it. There are rumors going around he will have a match. That will be interesting. We'll see what the rest of them are and how this card measures up to any of the other ones. But great, successful event. King of the Table 14. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to tune in next time. I still got some video ideas that I'm going to have to try to get through. Thank you for watching if you have. Leave a comment. I love seeing the comments and reading your guys' opinions on these events and stuff. And take care.